all. Hello, hello. And I am being live here. I'm also going to record. So I'm sending this to something that is Kitchen Table Shamanism. So, Kitchen Table Shamanism. Oh, hello. Kitchen Table Shamanism all. Hello, is hello. An ongoing group. And I am being live here. I'm also going to record. So I'm sending this to something that is Kitchen Table Shamanism. So, Kitchen Table Shamanism. Oh, hello. Just making sure that we're not having an echo here. So, Kitchen Table Shamanism is a group from around the world that meets around the fire, around the kitchen, around the glass of something to drink, and looks at a cozy way of connecting with energy, divine, source. How do we bring this into our daily lives in a way that works, a way that makes sense? When we were people who were in front of the fire, when we were people who lived outdoors, it was easier. It was easier to connect with the moon, the cycle of the seasons, the cycle of the sun. We felt it. We felt the stirring in the earth. We felt the longer days or the colder nights. And when we practice consciously today, we are reconnecting with our roots, with our ancestors, with our ancient soul. And maybe there's something really ancient to reconnect to that helps us balance how we walk this earth and helps us experience this earth, our bodies, our life as sacred. So I'm going to invite us to take a nice deep breath, just tuning in to wherever you are in the world right now when you're watching this. And as we're breathing in the nose and twice as long out the mouth, I invite us to consider our lineage of blood, our lineage of spirit, our lineage of heart. All the thousands and thousands of people whose hope, whose prayers, whose inspiration, whose care, whose genetics have at some time made a difference in our soul's journey, in our lineage's path, so that we could be here today. So that we could say, what has happened to me will not be perpetrated from me. That I claim being that person in my lineage who has the resources, who has the access to information, to this information that can cast new enchantments and break old curses. So we're tuning into that lineage, blessing it, thanking it, and inviting any beneficent energies, many energies of blessing, energies of kindness, to support us in this portal. To get the downloads that we need, the information that we need, to be able to see deeply in ways that we don't often let ourselves see. To hear deeply in ways we don't often let ourselves hear. this blood moon eclipse in Virgo, surrounded by a Venus retrograde and a Mercury retrograde. Retrogrades are time to go inward. Eclipses are openings, a time to look at our love life and our relationship life, a time to look at the ways that we think or narrate about what happens to us. And we're in the beginning of an eclipse triad that starts now, goes through September, and will complete next March. Oh, the cycles of life. And yet, what we believe now, what we think now, where we focus now makes a difference. And my guardians and guides invite, even if it's challenging, to be the light in the darkness, to see the pathway as through. That even if we're going down at times, we're coming back up. Even if we're challenged at times, we will find the strength to move through that challenge. It's very important at these times to keep that spark alive in the darkness and in the challenge, if anything is stirring. And I'm going to invite us to tune in to an intention. So this portal is tonight. It's also tomorrow. So it's Thursday, Thursday night, Friday night, and goes even a little bit into Saturday. So we have time. We have time to look at our dreams. We have time to journal. We have time to light our candles, to sage our homes, to uh, do the things that support our soul to listen more closely, to feel that clearing. So this is a time of clarity. It could include letting certain things go, but after letting go is always a rebirth. And I invite us to tune in to our personal intention for this 3 days. So usually around a full moon or new moon, we have 3 days, the day before, the day of, and the day after. So tuning in to these 3 days, setting our intention for the highest and best for our soul's path on earth. And if, like me, you have another candle handy, there's some back here, but if you have another candle handy, then I invite you to light your candle with your intention. Energy follows or is guided by intention. Energy follows or is guided by intention. And this candle that we light, and if you want, you can light one later. If you don't have one right now handy, you can light one later. Often in a full moon or a new moon, I will put it in a window. I imagine that my candle is kind of winking at the moon. Hey, my light sees your light. Hey. So I like to put it on a windowsill on the inside, or it could be on the windowsill on the outside. And if for whatever reason you can't do that, then just having it wherever it works is fine. And some people have pets where pets might, get into the candles. Sometimes I will put a candle in another bowl of water. So I'll take the candle, put it in a bowl of water, and that way if the candle tips over, nothing's going to burn. I've learned this the hard way too. If I'm going to leave the candle, and there's any risk that it could tip over, something could tip it over, then I want to put it in a bowl of water, a bowl of dirt, a bowl of sand, something that means that if it tips, it won't harm anything. Practical magic, the practical side of doing this work. So we've set our intention for our portal, and this intention can go through all 3 days. Or, tomorrow you wake up, you want a new intention. Go ahead. Go ahead. You are the captain of your soul. You are the arbiter of your truth. And we're in a divine paradox. The divine is often found in paradox between wanting to keep focus and consistency, the power of our will and our intention, and also being able to be flexible. Think of it as a lot more like sailing than uh, being a big cruise ship, where when you sail, you often tack. You're working with the tides, you're working with the wind, you have an intention to go in a certain direction, but you also have flexibility versus some kind of powerboat, which is just going to push on through. Life is much more like a sea that is changing, and we are much more like the sailors of a boat. So we're learning to feel the wind. We're learning to attune to the flow, the chi of the universe, of our own bodies, of the moon, of the earth, of our relationships. So we're learning that life often has a breathing in and a breathing out. Life has times of rest and times of action, which is which. And the retrograde, like I said, is often a turning inward, a gathering information before coming back out again. Eclipses, similar in a way. I've often gotten very powerful dreams and downloads during an eclipse. So tonight, when you go to sleep, is a great time, or you could even try a nap during the day. You're getting that there's a little creative recipe here, right? So in my Sicilian family, if you asked for a recipe, what's the recipe for this sauce? You wouldn't be given a printed sheet that said, 2 tablespoons of this, 3/4 of a cup of that. You wouldn't be told, cook at 250 degrees for 15 minutes. No, this is not how the recipes go. The recipes go, chop up an onion, maybe two. It could depend on the size of the onion. Then, if you have a carrot, you could put a carrot. But if you don't have a carrot, you could always use some celery. It's better if you have garlic, but if you don't, you could use more onion. And if you have some fresh chives. So it's like if this, if that, if this, and more of this, less of that, you can compensate for this. Now you're cooking. So now you're over. But if you're on an electric stove, or if you're on a gas stove, or if you're on a mountain, or if you're at sea level, you want to look at it. You want to look at it. You want to smell it. You want to smell it. You want to look at it. You want to notice, is it getting that golden color? And you only can really know by seeing it, because even the weight of the pan could make a difference in how the heat is conducted. So you have to attune to and adjust. And then as you're smelling it, maybe add a little salt, but then maybe taste it, not too much salt, just a little bit, and taste it. How does it taste? Sometimes you might want to add a little bit more, but not too much. So you get this sense that you're attuning to a process. You're attuning to something that's living, that's adjusting. And then and you might like it with a little more of this. You might like it with a little more of that. Your great Aunt Giovanna also made it this other way. So there's this living process of how you work with a recipe. So when we look at life, the mechanistic part of us, the scientist part of us says, just give me the absolute recipe. It's 15 minutes. It's a cup of this. It's a quarter cup of that. It's 2 tablespoons. But when we start looking at a mechanistic version of creating our recipes of life, we lose the soul of life. So when I'm inviting us to attune to, there's a Venus retrograde that invites a certain kind of inward look at our heart and our relationships. There's a Mercury retrograde that invites us at an inner look at our thought processes and our communication processes with ourselves as well as others. There's a Virgo blood moon eclipse, which is having us, Virgo is very structured, loves clarity, and yet is going dark and red and womb-like. So there's like this sense of needing to go deep in to actually gain the clarity. And there's the beginning of a cycle that goes for a year and has 3 blood moon eclipses. So we're planting seeds and we're nourishing them in the dark. So we're attuning to, what is your recipe? What is your recipe? How do you season to taste your relationship with the moon, with your body, with how you look at love and care, with how you look at communication? Does there need to be a little bit more spice, a little bit more cooking, a little bit more calmness, add a little cream to soothe things? There's not just one way when we're looking at being cooks of life or sailors of life's seas. There's an attunement. How do we attune? With reverence to all. Thank you. Thank you, Christine. With reverence to all. So we have some people joining us, and we've lit a candle of intention if you have one nearby, or you could do one later since you're creating your recipe of ritual. And I am about to pull a card from the Oracle of Mystical Moments. Let's see if I can do this where you can see it. The Oracle of Mystical Moments. It's all a mystical moment, isn't it? So I'm just going to spread this. And just take a moment to go across. Perfect. It's always perfect, right? The gardener, the gardener. And we were talking a little bit about that sense of planting seeds, the sense of things taking time. Sometimes a field needs to lie fallow, meaning we don't plant for a while. So part of learning to sail life's seas, part of learning to be that gardener is, does something need to go on pause? So in a moment, I'm going to put some journal prompts forward and we're going to have some time to actually tune in and write. I always love to write during a portal. So we'll have some time to do that, but I just wanted to check the gardener and share this with you. Standing proud in a lush green garden, a woman holds a growing bulb in her arms. 2 small houses spring from the plant, and her skirt is transformed into a house. She is the gardener of her soul. She's the caretaker of her home. Her feelings are the flowers of her garden. I love that. You know, that instead of being negative, our feelings are flowers. By taking care of herself, she keeps growing stronger. But sometimes uninvited guests invade the garden, intruders like jealousy or shame. If we recognize these as neither good nor bad, but something to be investigated and accepted, we can treat ourselves with compassion and keep blooming. I love this because in the methodology, in the ritual technology that I have been taught, we transform through love. So we don't hate shame. We don't hate jealousy. We say, hey, shame, I love you. What are you here to tell me? Oh, you're here to tell me that when I was little, people who raised me came from generations of trauma where shame was a way that they kept themselves small to avoid notice. Thank you, shame, for keeping my lineage alive for so many years. I love you. And I want to plant you in the garden because maybe you'll come up as something new. Maybe you might come up as pride, as a healthy sense of self. I want to pet you, shame, and love you. And what about jealousy? Jealousy, thank you. Thank you for being here. You know, that longing that you have, that frustration that you might have, that fear that you might have that we call jealousy, that envy that you might have that we call jealousy is a pointer to something that wants to move or transform. Thank you for being here. I'm going to plant you in the garden, see what you come up with so that I can actually harvest from you. And when I actually dig into jealousy, she becomes something else. She becomes my fear, which lets me know that part of me needs more love and more encouragement from me. Or she becomes my envy, and a part of me says, I want that too. I want that too. And I'm like, okay, okay, you get to have that too. Whether or not it's with this person, you get to have that too. So jealousy is so rich. So I love that we're the gardener. We're the garden, we're the gardener. We get to create a home here. I I once wrote a poem, I keep leaving my home. I keep abandoning myself, hoping that some kind stranger will fill me. But now I'm learning to come home. I'm learning to come home to myself. I'm learning to build in myself. And I'm learning to appreciate that you have your own house. And we can open the windows, we can listen to each other, we can call out to each other, we can build bridges between us, and we can visit one another. But we can always come home to rest. So I'm building a home here. I'm coming home here with my rich, 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 multifaceted, complex self. So let's use this glorious portal as an opportunity to see what some of those beings inside, or maybe some of those entities outside, might want to tell us. And just a second, there's a little note here. Oh. I get to see a heart. So I'm sending love back. I just want to take a moment to breathe. And I think I might put the music back on in a second. To take a moment to feel our feet, to feel our back. My back right now, my spine is a little bit in pain. And my spine is kind of an antenna that picks up a lot. So it has a tendency when there's a lot of intense energy to be in pain. So I'm just going to love the pain because it's letting me know that there's a lot of energy. And I'm going to invite us to lengthen our breath, breathing in the nose Twice as long out the mouth, in the nose, twice as long out the mouth, in the nose, twice as long out the mouth. And as we're breathing in the nose and twice as long out the mouth, I invite us to envision that infinite night sky. And that in that night sky, it is endless and eternal. As we come closer and closer to our earth, time begins to exist. Cycles begin to exist, held in the infinity of all that is. And as we become closer and closer to our earth, we can connect to that doorway that is the dark moon, the blood moon, the eclipse that lets us see so deeply our soul's path, our soul's purpose, that lets us hear, feel the messages that are meant to come to us. I invite us to ask ourselves in this time, what, oh my soul, am I meant to release? What am I meant to release? What am I meant to release? What am I meant to release? Just giving yourself a moment to continue to ask, what am I meant to release before we move to the next question? What does this blood moon want me to know? What does the blood moon want me to know? Then I invite us to ask, what is meant to arise? So I'm letting go. There's a cycle of letting go, making space. But what is meant to arise? What is meant to arise? And if you're complete with that question, you can bring other questions into this portal that are on your heart, that are on your spirit, that you want to ask. Hmm. Breathing that in, tuning in if there's any other questions that you're meant to ask or any other information that's meant to come. And one of the questions I'm asking that you might like is, who are my allies? Who are my allies? And this could be on any plane of existence. The allies, calling them in, letting them in. This is their time, if now is the moment. Allies, known, unknown, yet to be known. Call you in, we honor you, we invite you. Thank you, we bless you. Allies known, unknown, and yet to be known, who have yet guided our lives, kept us alive until this moment and beyond. Guides and guardians of our soul and our soul's purpose on this earth. May you continue to surround us, uphold us, nourish us, speak to us, support us to hear the downloads that are meant to come during this blood moon eclipse in Virgo, surrounded by Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. May we hear what we're meant to hear, feel what we're meant to feel, see what we're meant to see, and may we find the grace, the courage, get out of our own way. And if there's anything else about our soul's mission or our soul's path, I invite receiving that information now. Breathing that in the nose, twice as long out the mouth. Anchoring in anything that we've seen or felt or heard. Anchoring in our commitment to keep this portal open in our hearts and spirits so that any more information that needs to unfold, that we may be ready to receive it in these 3 days. Another nice deep breath in the nose, twice as long out the mouth, putting either one or both hands on our heart centers and one hand on some other part of the body or both hands on the heart center that we're wanting to bring this blessing, this compassion, this connection to in our embodied existence. Blessing this body temple, this body vessel. In a moment, I'll be completing the video for those who are watching later or on streaming or something, but I'll leave the video open for the people that are here, but we'll stop recording and we'll stop streaming. So we'll have some informal time together. And those who are watching later or have found this somehow streaming now, thank you. May you be blessed. Thanking our guardians, guides, angels, ancestors, any beneficent entities that surround us and support us. Go if you must, stay if you will, and if you must, go, hail, and farewell. Thanking the blessing of this body, this life, this earth, this moon, for bringing us into this journey at this time in life. We are here as long as we are meant to be in this earth, in this body, in this life, to move forward, wholeness and harmony. Thank you for this opportunity. Breathing in that breath of thankfulness for our time together, finding this moment that we share across time and space. And when we're ready, gently taking out our hand. When we're ready, gently opening our eyes. And I just want to once again thank everyone. So for those who are here, the two of you know who you are. I will leave this open for us to do more informal, but for people who are watching this live stream or later, thank you for being here, and I look forward to the next time. Blessed be. And I'm just taking down our music for us. And then I'm going to unpin me because we are now together and I've stopped the recording. So there. It's just us. And Lavender Dawn, where are you? Which part of the world are you in? Oops, you're muted. Let me just unmute you or ask you to unmute. Oops, still muted, sweetheart.
I'm in Fort Bragg, California.
Okay.
So a little north of you.
So you're with me here on the West Coast, but Christine is on the other coast. So you can you let us see you or are you or not?
Yes, but it's dark.
It's dark.
Let's see if it picks me up at all.
Dark
No, it doesn't pick me up at all.
Yeah, you're in the void. You're in the eclipse.
Hold on.
Christine is in Florida.
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
Hi.
Hi.
She is a bright and radiant soul. She just happens to be immersed in the dark right now. Aw. Is there anything that either of you want to share about anything that you saw or felt?
Uh, no, I'm going through a lot in my personal life right now. I have a mentally ill son that I just had to put out of my house. And this is like the third or fourth time that I've had to get a restraining order because of his behaviors. And I just wanted to reach out to some sisters for a second. Um, as we know, our mental health system is completely broken. And yeah, it's a horrible thing to see your adult children suffer and not be able to do anything for them or, to help them.
Yeah, sweetheart, I read that um, on Facebook, and some people have issues with Facebook. I personally don't, because it does keep me connected to some people that I wouldn't be connected to as easily otherwise. And I was just holding that so tenderly in my heart because I just can't imagine anything more heartbreaking than to have to say my child is dangerous. My child, it does not help them to enable them, and it's dangerous for me or my household or my own capacity to survive to have them here. I just uh such
Yeah,
such a
it's really,
challenge.
really awful.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like he's dying or he has died. The person that I knew, you know, is gone, and I don't know if I'll ever see that person again. You know, it's just really awful. But I don't want to make this all about me. I know that this portal, there's a reason why this all happened, blew up last week, is because I need to, um, heal from this and be able to transmute all the pain I'm feeling into compassion for other people in the same situation. I reached out to some other parents of adult mentally ill children groups, and I'm doing a lot of work here locally to establish some food networks and for some women's health networks in case the government continues to collapse and we need to start doing these things for ourselves. So whenever I feel like great angst and pain, I try to do something physical in the real world that supports healthier living for everybody.
One of the main things that I love about you is, alchemizing our pain to say, how can I actually help others? Now that I understand this pain, how can I support others who have a similar pain? And yeah, thank you so much for doing that. And that it's that philosophy has helped me survive a lot too. It's like, to me, it's part of that Tonglen where I'm going to breathe in the suffering of others that isn't a similar suffering to mine, and I'm going to breathe out love. So I understand your suffering, so let me hold it and let me share love. And then I also feel it's like that passion that kind of starts to mm, build uh, on the etheric plane, on the astral plane, how I feel it. But yeah, yeah, thank you for taking that on. It's a great portal. As we saw, the card that gets pulled is how can we build our own house?
Mm-hmm.
How can we really say that I get to build my own house. I get to be in self-love. I get to be in a self-resource as part of how I give to others. Because I trust everyone here that we're not going to be like, now that I've built my house, I'm going to close all the doors and nobody gets anything from my house. No, we're not like that. Uh, but we're highly sensitive people who need to have, a house, a sense of stability in ourselves, need to sometimes close the shutters at times just to say, you know, I need to resource for a while.
Yeah, learning where that line is has been like a work of lifetime.
I feel you. It's, you know,
I'm getting better at it. I will
right?
say that.
We're getting better at it. I mean, I'm with you. Like I say, have I attained enlightenment yet? Let me check. No,
Well,
no, no.
I have this like little saying. I'm sorry if the language is a little offensive, but that's just who I am. It's the motherfucking onion, because you think you're done, but then there's another layer.
One more fucking layer. I know. I mean, so
So I'm gonna actually get a tattoo of this little onion that's going, like that, on me sometime soon, and to remind me that you're never done.
never done, never over.
So
Oh, I'm with you. Like when it's like I'll say to people, like over in a big arc of my resiliency or my self-love, or even ultimately that by and large I get what I need and quite a bit of what I want. In a very big arc, I can see it works. But in a given moment, in a given day, in a given week, in a given month, it can be shite, like just shite. And it's like, so, I notice that I still bounce back quicker than
yeah, yeah, definitely.
than in the past. And I want to check in with Christine, honey. Do you have
Sure.
anything you want to
Hey,
share?
Christine.
Hi, anything that you got? This is my fuzzy my fuzzy journal here. Anything that
Um, yeah, well, let's see. I think it was actually before the questioning and the meditation when you were talking about like home being within yourself. It stood out to me because it's something that recently I've been actually saying to myself because I've been asking like, where is home? Because my parents, I grew up in New Mexico, but not used to be home, and I would always say I'm going home. But for a few years now, I've not said that. And then with my dad passing, it's like, okay, literally the home isn't really there anymore. So I've been coming back to this feeling and having a um, visceral experience of like home is wherever I am because it's in me. So I really resonated with that, and it was a great like taking it into the meditation of feeling feeling the filling up of it within me. Um, and then looking at like what is this blood eclipse for me, and it's really for me like this healing of past relationships and also like healing with my own sexual being. Like through the whole meditation, I was my I call my yoni I call her Lady L. I think she's very royal, so her name's Lady L.
I love it.
And so Lady L was just like I could feel my heartbeat in my clit, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. It wasn't like a turn on, like I was horny, but it was like she is alive, and she is like, I am here. It's time to do something with something. Like there's some stuff we get to release or heal, and I'm alive. So yeah, that was like the big things that came to me.
Aw.
Yeah, I love her.
I, I, yeah, that is